All right, hello everybody. It's been a couple weeks since I did one of these again because life just gets away from you. That's just the way it is. But you know what? No light time like the present. Today is a Tuesday and I'm doing this. So, what I've been wanting to do is do these little talks on these little inspirational things. And you know, it is hard. It's hard to want to do these because it does get into stuff. And sometimes you just don't feel like talking about stuff. Anyway, so nobody really talks about this, but once you start healing past traumas and your body comes out of fight or flight mode, your body will crave a lot of rest and silence. Your body finally starts to feel safe in the peace and quiet, the calm. You aren't lazy. Your body is just catching up on all the years it didn't have this stillness. You deserve this. And you know what? Nobody does talk about how much. Dude, I spent all the way up until 2 years ago just chasing everybody else's crap. And this is the first time I've ever been able to deal with me and my stuff. You know, and I feel like there's people around me that think that, oh, yeah, well, I can tell these stories. The big one is just because you tell a story from the past, they think you're reliving that shit. Now, I might be reliving some of the old emotions, some of them, but by talking about it, I don't really. Dude, I still have memories, and just because you tell a story one time does not mean you're just cured. Like, you just go to counseling, and through those 1 or 3 sessions or 5 sessions or whatever it is that people think there's some kind of time limit. There's no time limit on any of this stuff. And for somebody to set a time limit on you, that's about them. It ain't about you. If it was about you, those people would not be worried about time limits. And you know what? I did not realize the amount of self-care that it takes to deal with anything that I put. I can remember swallowing back tears thinking, I don't have time for this now. I never did have time for it. Those times never came. I swallowed back the tears that never got dealt with ever till now. And now I do. There are days that I feel like I could sleep my way through the day. And I don't know. You know, I complain about it a lot. That I just want to sit here in silence for not hours, for days. For the past 2 years, I could just sit here and do nothing. I've got 2 storage units that need to be dealt with. I've got a camper sitting in my yard I haven't used in years. And it isn't because I haven't wanted to. It's because I haven't had the fucking energy to do it. And I get so frustrated. And then I remember that all of them times that I was choking back, all the times now. Because inevitably, shit comes up. A memory from when I was a kid that you just want to cry. And you can't. You're heading to work. You're going to meet somebody. The only time I feel like I am really getting anything accomplished anymore is when I'm sitting here by myself, because I can have my emotions when they come and I don't have anybody around me telling me that, "Oh my god, you've been through counseling for how long and you're still having problems?" Come the fuck on. It took me my whole life to get to this point. And now what? You think it's going to get resolved in a couple of counseling sessions? That's absurd. You know what gets resolved in a couple of counseling sessions? Stuffing it back. If you're not dealing with your shit, you're stuffing it back. And if you think that 40, 50 years of bullshit gets resolved in 3 sessions or less, are you fucking kidding me? I couldn't tell my story in that amount of time, much less get over it. And let's remember that not a lot gets done outside of sessions for most people, because most people aren't going to sit, because you're living in the past. If you tell your story too many times, right away there's judgment. You know what? My mom had a viewpoint that made things very difficult while we were kids. And because I tell the stories does not mean I hate my mother. It doesn't even mean that I blame my mom. I don't blame my mother. I think my mom did the best she could. But that doesn't mean that it was healthy. It means she did the best she could. And that doesn't mean that I blame her. It means that I need to deal with my relationship to those feelings. And right now I can honestly say, after all of this time to myself, where I can work through these stories without judgment, except for my own judgment, which those are part of my issues that I'm trying to resolve. But if I need to tell the stories 500 times, then that's what it takes. The truth is if I need to sleep my way through another year, unfortunately, if that's what it's going to take, that's what it's going to take. Whether I like it or not, whether other people like it or not. But just because you tell a story from your past and you get worked up about it, that doesn't make you living in the past. It means that you're working through some emotions that had been previously maybe not dealt with. Maybe you needed to get excited about it. Maybe there's reason. Maybe you need a 5-minute recap. Big deal. And the reality is if somebody else cannot listen to your damn story just one more time without accusing you of living in the past, it's not about you, it's about them. You know, I'd be willing to bet that if you started delving into their story, their stories from their past that they really have not even dealt with, they may have told this story to a counselor a time and think, because I used to think that way. I used to think, oh, I told all of these stories. Because I thought once you tell a story, it's It's out, it's dealt with. No, no, that's not the way it works. People, you might have to tell that story 10 times. You might have to tell that story twice. You may. It's you. And all of us deal with everything differently. And it's okay. The truth is it's okay. It's okay if you're going to yell and scream. It's okay if you're going to fight and cry. It's okay if you need to stomp your feet. The only time it's not okay is if you're physically hurting somebody else. But because they have to sit and endure you dealing with your issues, I'm sorry, but the old saying of sticks and stones may break my bones, these are the same people that will not be able to tolerate you probably calling them. I'm sorry, these are the same people that will more than willing tell you you're crazy. Because you may need to kick and scream. But is that really hurting them? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And where I disagree with things in that sentence, because words will hurt. The people that will tell you how terrible and horrible you are the same people that can't be bothered with your issues. So if they can tell you how horrible you are and they can't sit and listen to you tell a story about your past, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Because I can think of people in my life that can tell me how crazy I am and how the fact that they tell me that I'm crazy shouldn't bother me because words shouldn't hurt me. Well, if words don't hurt, then you should be able to sit down and listen to a fucking story, right? Without there being backlash. Because what is it? A little time out of your busy schedule? I'm sorry. But this is true. Let people have their space. Let people deal with their issues. You know, there is no reason why we should have to be... I'm sorry that I'm going to put it this way, but shun the places like AA because us alcoholics have issues. A story is a story is a story is a story. Everybody loves stories. You could just as easily listen to somebody's story as to throw up criticism of their story. So, you know what my advice is, people? Shut the fuck up and listen. Do somebody a favor and listen. Listen to their story. And I know because I love telling my stories and sometimes I get too excited and I don't want to listen to the other person. We all feel that way. I get accused a lot of thinking I'm more important because I want to tell my story first. No, I'm just super excited. That's what I am. I ain't trying to say, well, my story's better. No. I don't sit around and plot that way. Maybe there are people that do. I don't know that people do that on purpose, really. But anyway, those are my thoughts for today. And then further note, I went up to Bond Falls with a friend today, and I will admit that at the beginning of the day, I wasn't looking forward to it because I really just wanted to stay here all day. I really wanted another day to myself. I'll be honest, because I just get sick of feeling like I'm so excited to tell my stuff that I don't want to wait for somebody else to talk. And I get, by some people, I get accused of being selfish because of that. And that is not my intention. And this person really seems to have the patience to listen to me, but, you know, me and me being me, I never know. It's a struggle. Because in the back part of my head, I just feel like he's just hanging out because he's putting on a show. And later on, I'm just going to get blamed because I talk too much, or I am too much, or I'm living in the past. I personally think I'm living more in the present than most people. This is my house behind me. And I debated today on filming this right here because it's a fucking... It's a falling apart trailer. It's what it is. But it's what I got. And it's mine. It's all I care about. It's mine. And I would love to have the money to fix the stuff, but I don't. And I'm tired. Tired of working all the fucking time. So I made decisions in my life, and I live on less money. And I feel like I'm happier because I actually get to deal with my present in present time instead of thinking I'm going to deal with it sometime in the future. But I also feel like I'm spending an incredible amount of time by myself. And I can't tell. I can't tell if it's because of the criticism. I just get sick of being criticized for living in the past and not dealing with my stuff, and that I need a bottle of fucking pills to deal with my shit. I know I have anxiety. Do I feel like I have the kind of anxiety that needs to be dealt with medications? I don't feel like I do. But there's people around me that, in my opinion, think that anxiety is not something that humans were meant to feel. I mean, they haven't come out and said it that way, but it's certainly what their lifestyle indicates. And I disagree with that. When I was younger, I don't know that, because at that time, I do know that I was looking for medications to try to get rid of anxiety, but on the other hand, I took a trip to Mexico by myself, and everybody around me told me that I was nuts. Single woman going alone. But I knew I had a ton of anxiety, and in my head, I inherently knew that the best way to deal with that anxiety is to stare it straight in the face. I felt like I was afraid to go and do things, head into cities and stuff like that. So my solution to that was go to fucking Mexico by myself. I thought, you know what, if I can go to Mexico and deal with all that, I can deal with anything. And after that, I feel like my anxiety, whereas it was there, it didn't scare me. Because I knew I could deal with the stuff. And somewhere along the way as I got older, I lost touch with that. And I think I got it in my head that I needed a bottle of pills to freaking deal with it. And then one day I was watching a TED Talk with a monk. It was a monk that did the talk. And that monk was talking about the meditation and the reasons why he started doing meditation. And he, like so many of us, was trying to escape anxiety until he realized that anxiety was just going to be part of the equation. And instead of trying to fight the anxiety, he became friends with the anxiety. And in a way, that's how I feel like you need to look at it. It is a part of all of our lives, whether we like it or not. Whether you've got a bottle of Xanax to deal with it, you can have all the anxiety or Xanax and pills in the world to try to combat it, but at some point you're going to feel some anxiety because it is a normal part of a human experience. And you can either hide in your house behind a bottle of pills and say, oh my God, I shouldn't have any anxiety. And because I do when I leave the house, I'm never leaving the house again. Or you can decide, dude, I need to take steps to try to deal with this. And I don't know that a bottle, I don't know. I don't want to hide in my house, I guess. There's where I'm at. And there's a lot of instances that, no, I go into these situations, I have no idea what I'm heading into. And I know there's going to be anxiety involved. And you know what? I go and I deal with it. And if I need to come home and meditate for an hour or spend a day alone home so that I can rest from that experience, then that's what I do these days. And I'm not going to hide in my house. I'm not going to go avoid every social function because social situations make me uncomfortable. You know what? Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable. It's the way it is. Because you can't hide. You can't always hide. All right. And I don't know. That's where I'm at. If I had to hand out pieces of advice, I would say take care of your mental health, however that looks. Because for years I did the counseling thing, and my opinion on that is very bitter right now at the present moment. I feel like my counselor chose money over ethics, and where that could probably be debated, I feel like I got the short end of the stick. And it made me realize that I had too many eggs in that basket. And I don't. No. And I'm not sure what the replacement for her is right now. I am very close with my neighbor. As emotionally unavailable, really, as he is. I can see where my bullheadedness plays into this. And maybe it is that I've never trusted anybody before, but personally, I think the same can be said about him. And that maybe we are learning all of this as we go along. I think he has a lot to learn about forgiveness and what really being in love is. But it doesn't even matter because right now I really don't even care. I don't care about committing myself to anybody. I want to do what I want when I want without judgment, and that's not the case. I went with my friend Riley from work, and I know that Mike has his opinions about that, and that's the judgment that I don't need. But I don't like Jenny, his sister-in-law, and it may be out of jealousy. I don't know. I just don't think much of her. And I have my reasons. And they're mine. And it don't matter. Because our relationship is what it is anyway. I ain't gonna change him. And he ain't gonna change me. Because I ain't gonna be told. I'm not gonna have rules set on me. It's just not gonna happen. No. No, these guys, and you know what? And God strike me down. Riley says this to me today too. I don't want these girls that think that they're gonna quit their job. If you expect a woman to cook and clean and take care of the house,